We would like to welcome Giridhar Rajkumar. Giridhar is a test automation architecture at Checkertree. Giridhar would be speaking on software testing beyond the limits. To know more about Giridhar and to see his video interview, please check out the link below. Sir, the floor is all yours.
Sorry, guys, can you hear me now? Just to confirm.
You're audible as well as visible.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. I am going to share my screen. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. So I know that it's been almost like, 6 minutes delay. Apologies from my side because of some issues with my laptop. I couldn't join through Zoom, but I was able to join a couple of minutes back. But yeah, so sorry about it. All right. Okay. So let's get started. So perfect. All right. So hello, everyone. Hello again, in fact. So my name is Giridhar Rajkumar. I'm a QA lead working for a company called checkertrade.com here in the UK. So I work for this company, which is, helping to get more trades from different homeowners. So I'm currently working on the digital part of Checkertrade, where we try to implement test automation strategies and different testing strategies with regards to mobile testing, in fact. So I'm also an author. I have written a couple of books. I have my own blog, giridharrajkumar.com. Feel free to visit. And I write lots of articles with regards to testing automation. So a big fan of test automation. And I have been practicing test automation for over 14 years now. And have been working with different organizations across UK and India. And it's really good to know that, working as a consultant in different organization gives me more, exposure to explore different tools and technologies that are there in the industry, in fact. So apart from this, I'm an instructor. I have created a couple of courses in Test Automation University. You can just feel free to go through that, which is free of cost, in fact. So in case if you'd like to connect with me, please connect with me via LinkedIn. My handle is Giridhar Rajkumar, and you can feel free to look into my GitHub as well. So, and in case if you want to follow me, this is my Twitter handle, in fact. So what are we going to see today, actually, right? For the next probably 15 to 20 minutes, these are the ones that we are going to talk about, actually. But before that, what is it you are going to get out of this particular session, right? So I'm going to talk about the QA Ops, that is the most trending approach, testing approach that is there in different organizations here in the UK, which has been adapted by many, tier one companies, in fact, to make sure their testing approaches adhering to a couple of principles that are there as part of DevOps and product engineering. We will talk about product engineering and DevOps in the upcoming slides, but this is one key thing that we are going to take it, actually. And apart from that, we are going to talk a little bit about how do we need to strategize ourselves in implementing testing artifacts. So when I say testing artifacts, I mean to say that there are different types of testings, right? We have accessibility testing, we have performance testing, we have, we have automated testing, and so on and so forth. But how are we going to strategize it so that we can just get the maximum benefit out of it, actually? So just because an organization is having an automation testing, it doesn't mean that they are well matured in the testing process, actually. So there are some strategies that we need to follow religiously in order to get the maximum benefit out of it. So in this session, I'm just going to sow the seed to you guys and explore the ways, and it's up to you guys to explore the ways that it's going to helpful in your organization or in your particular project, in fact. So with that said, we are going to talk about a little bit from the mindset change perspective as well. So see, testing has evolved a lot, right? So say, for example, for the past 1 decade, we are seeing that testing has evolved in different ways, actually, right? And it's, as a testers, it's us who should be changing our mindset, actually, towards the latest trends that are there in the testing industry today. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that you can just adapt in order to change your mindset as well, or your particular team to adapt various testing artifacts that are there in the market, actually. We are also going to see about this particular common topic called continuous testing, where I just wanted to give you my experience with it, and what are the benefits that we have got from implementing continuous testing, and what challenges that you could also face actually. So this is something that you will be taking away as part of this particular session. I'll try to cover it within 20 minutes, but it's going to be a huge topic, but I'll try to reduce it as much as possible. Now, so like I said, this is going to be the agenda. We are going to talk about QA Ops. We are going to see a couple of out-of-the-box thinking aspects, how the testing industry is there as of today across different organizations, right? So this is what we are going to talk from the out-of-the-box perspective. We are going to talk about continuous testing, like I said, and of course, the state of continuous testing in the pipeline as well, actually. Now, let's talk about this QA Ops. So what is this QA Ops basically? It's nothing but your quality assurance plus operations, basically. So there is no separate entity in today's industry, like there is a quality team actually. So there is nothing as such as of like we need to start pair program in a way that bugs much earlier as well, right? So in order to do that particular that is completely digital, say for example, like yours is completely mobile testing, right? Now, we focus mostly from the functional testing folks. We give less importance to automation actually, right? But again, if we are giving more, if you are giving less priority to automation, it really means that we are not giving importance to any other testing artifacts that are there in the industry. Say, for example, accessibility testing, right? As of now, what is happening is most of the designers who design the application are doing the accessibility testing, right? To check whether their screens are adhering to a couple of accessibility benchmarks and so on and so forth. It's our duty from the testing to think out of the box and put everything under one nutshell and try to test from accessibility testing perspective as well to double check whether we are adhering to the benchmark actually, right? And next one, what I wanted to think about is performance engineering actually. I know that we have a separate team in our team, in our project or in our organization who does this particular performance engineering. But again, as a sprint team, what you need to do is you need to think out of the box and try helping your developers to fix performance issues that are coming as part of the sprint itself or the particular feature itself within that particular sprint, or rather waiting till the end of that particular, till the end of the release or something like that. What you want to do is you need to start thinking from the early performance engineering perspective and have a couple of automated performance tests to make sure that it is not breaking any of the performance issues at all, right? This can be integrated directly within your pipeline, which does the work on the daily basis or weekly basis to make sure that performance is not compromised at all, right? And then the next one is please start adopting artificial intelligence testing tools. A decade back, artificial intelligence was not, up to the mark. So people were doubting whether the AI for testing tools is possible or not. But in today's world, it is possible actually. We have lots and lots of tools that are there in the market that does help us with regards to the AI testing perspective actually. Say for example, Apply tools. And we have report portal that helps us out in exploring all the reports that we are just doing as part of the automation. So we have lots and lots of tools that are getting evolved, guys, so that we can just start exploring it and start adapting it as well as part of your regular testing activities actually. Now, just a couple of minutes back in the previous slide, we were talking about exploratory testing, right? So why do we need this exploratory testing? Like I said earlier, we need to start reducing the manual efforts that we are trying to put for the functional testing actually, right? So by giving more priority to the automated testing, we have more time when the automated tests are getting executed on daily basis to focus on something called as exploratory testing. So why this exploratory testing is very important at this point of time. Now, exploratory test, before we address that question, let's talk what is exploratory testing basically. So this is one key aspect that I'm really a big fan of, where we are trying to test the application with just the domain knowledge actually. We don't have any other, functional knowledge, or we don't know what the particular screen is, no, nothing actually. So it's literally you're thinking from a user's perspective and you start exploring that particular application to see defects are there or not actually. Trust me, exploratory testing has revealed a lot of defects that we can monitor it in an early stage itself or detect it during the development phase itself actually. So exploratory testing is something that you need to try. It's a must try artifact or testing methodology that is there as part of today's industry actually. But apart from that, I know that chaos testing is something that is quite not mature, not, I wouldn't say mature. Not many people have started utilizing this particular way of testing. But again, if you have time, please start looking into the chaos testing. That is something like you deliberately bringing in some faults into the system and checking how your system is getting behaved actually. Now say for example, like bringing down one particular service and trying to see how your system is functioning. Say for example, whether it is giving a proper error message or not, whether it is giving a proper exception, whether there is a proper error handling that has been done, so on and so forth actually. So it's us from the testing team who should start thinking about all these kind of chaos testing basically. It's something like you're bringing down everything and trying to check how the behavior is, how the application behaves basically, right? This is something that we have to start thinking from the out of the box perspective from the testing actually, right? Now let's get into the next one, which is the continuous testing. So basically, I talk about this continuous testing everywhere because this is something that we need to start adapting, because many organizations are still struggling to adapt this continuous testing methodology, which is nothing but bringing in an automated, automated test cases and executing it in a against a build particularly actually. So this is something that you can just plan it accordingly, like whether you have to put it into your pull request, or you have to execute it on daily basis or weekly basis or so on and so forth actually. But it is something that we need to do from the automation perspective actually, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about the DevOps way of integrating our quality assurance, right? So that's where the QA Ops comes into picture actually. Now, ultimately what happens here is, we have two code bases, right? We have the application code base and the test automation code base. But again, it depends in the organization. They can have both the codes within one, source control repository itself, but it's up to you guys to decide actually. Now, ultimately in DevOps, what happens is the moment developer pushes the code, right, into the source control, there is a PR that is getting raised, right? So the PR will ultimately trigger the automated functional tests for you actually. But how is it going to trigger it? In what way it is going to trigger it actually? So it triggers in this particular way actually. So basically, the moment the PR is created, the smoke tests will be getting executed at first actually. So the smoke test may be like 5 to 10 test cases that can run rapidly to check whether everything is passing actually, probably a green path scenario or something like that. And then you can just have something like sanity tests to make sure that if there are any bug fixes that are there, you just have to run the sanity tests over there. And of course, the regression tests later point of time actually. So you have to keep all the threshold levels over here. Like it can be 100% pass rate for smoke test. Only if that passes, then my sanity test will be triggered. Else it will not trigger at all. So you need to keep in mind, like you need to define these kind of thresholds to save some time basically. So say for example, if your smoke tests are passing, right? Sorry, if your smoke tests are failing, the smoke test can be a UI or it can be an API test as well. If it is failing, there is no point in running a regression suite, which is going to take probably an hour or so to give you the feedback, right? So you need to think from that perspective to make sure that your tests are having 100% threshold level or not, right? Coming back to this particular slide, that is where your CI will be triggered and then it will be running against your environment. It can be a staging environment or any other environment that you want to run it against. And then once this is passed and once everything is okay, then it will be promoting the code to the next environment and publish the test results basically, right? Now, What is the main advantage of this actually? So one thing is faster feedback, like I said earlier. So you will be able to get faster feedback, which eventually says whether that particular build or that particular PR or that particular feature is running properly or not, and not breaking any other functionality. And once it is done, it will be the basic asset for the developers to merge it with the main basically actually, right? So you can just try to think it in that way, like test the PR, test that particular feature. If everything works fine, then go to the main actually, right? So you can just define it such a way that talk to your developers, and then you can just bring that kind of a process into place. Now, let's talk a little bit about platform engineering actually, right? So nowadays, maybe you can just try to Google as well. So there is a new trend that is growing up called platform engineering actually. So just go and Google between platform engineering versus DevOps. You'll be able to see lots of articles that are coming up. So platform engineering is one key aspect where we have lots of things that are done, which the DevOps team is also doing actually. So basically speaking, as a tester, you need to engage yourself with the platform engineering team to make sure that the solutions that you're providing from the testing perspective, be it whether it is from the continuous testing perspective, or it can be from any other cloud-based integration or something like that, you need to make sure that the platform engineering is developing the solutions that are highly reusable for different projects in your organization as well, right? So make sure that you're engaging with your platform engineering team along with the developers to make sure that everything is in place actually, right? Now, another one, what I have personally experienced from following this particular out of the box principles is, first thing, test automation pyramid actually, right? We all know what exactly test automation pyramid is, right? But again, are we implementing it religiously? How do we need to implement these things actually, right? So first thing first, what you need to do is, like I showed in the diagram, make sure your unit tests are having more coverage actually. Talk to your developers, make sure their unit tests are covering most of the functionalities within that particular code base itself. So 50% of your testing should be from your development side, where it covers from the unit test perspective actually. And then comes our 40% of integration tests, which are nothing but our API tests actually. So most of the functionalities, we can just try to test it via APIs itself, right? Because end of the day, UI is one part where it is just going to present the data to you, right? But again, that's going to be the first level of entry for our end users. But again, make sure that you're adhering a couple of test automation principles and a couple of AI-based solutions to make sure that your UI is working properly or not as well. So ultimately, try to give more importance to API testing as well, and then give importance to UI, because I've seen people thinking like, Giri, anyways, the UI is working, it means that the API is working, right? No, that's not the fact actually, because the process of executing your UI tests is more cost actually. It involves more cost when it comes to the integration tests actually. So it takes more time, it takes more money if you're using a cloud-based, cross-browser testing tool or something. But if you're making sure your API tests are passing, it means that the UI should also be passing, except with some exceptions, right? So you can just have a surety that your APIs are working and your application should work actually, right? Now, please introduce lots of parallel execution concepts where you can just trigger your tests in parallel and make sure that your test execution is reduced a lot actually, right? Do one thing, have a practice of doing your audit or your regression test cases every 3 sprints or every 3 months once actually. The reason is, there might be some test cases that can be, that might be redundant at that particular point of time, that need not be used at all. Say, for example, like checking whether, that particular text is accepting any special characters, right? So those kind of tests are not really required at the regression point of time, right? It can be from the sprint level and you can just eradicate it, right? So that is one thing that you can start looking into, so that your number of regression test cases will be less, but with more coverage actually, right? So think from that perspective, have less test cases and more coverage, yeah? And then what we need to do is start utilizing some mock service or service virtualization, and of course, visual testing if you are in digital world, because it's going to be a game changer. Trust me, I have used visual testing and it has changed a lot of, lot many ways that we are trying to test actually from the UI perspective, right? And then don't try to waste your time in consuming tests like batch processes, etc. when it comes to end-to-end testing. But keep in mind you need to do end-to-end testing, but be fair in testing, coming up with the test scenarios for that actually. And like I said earlier, please start using AI tools for like report portal and so on and so forth to analyze your test results and so on and so forth. Like I said earlier, the benefits are it's easy to accelerate the time of delivery. So it just reduces the time to market actually. So try to make sure that you're getting this particular benefit, else there is something wrong in the way that we have implemented testing actually, right? And then you should be having early detection of defects, like I said earlier, and then effective living documentation, guys. So start using living documentations, especially like pickles, cucumber, etc., to make sure your requirements are documented in given, when, and then format, which is nothing but the Gherkin formats. But please do follow a couple of principles on writing the Gherkins as well, because if you write Gherkins just like that, it's not going to help you out actually, right? So what are the challenges that you might face or your organization might face in order to bring up all these kind of tools or all these kind of strategies? Definitely, you need technically skilled testers. Please keep in mind, gone those days of testers having no technical knowledge. Every tester should have technical knowledge at this point of time. So please make sure that your testers are technically skilled. And don't adhere to one technology, because world is evolving, organizations are evolving. They tend to go towards some modern technology stacks that are there. So as a tester, you should have that mindset to adapt the new technologies that are there in the market along with your automation tools. And apart from that, there might be some external dependencies. Say, for example, like you might be using some cloud-based providers for cross-browser testing that can slow you down, but don't worry about it. Try to plan your things accordingly so that you can execute the test cases during non-working hours to make sure that everything is working during your work day actually, right? So you can just plan things accordingly as well. Now, just to give a quick recap, we just went through what is QA Ops, and we just learned about a couple of out-of-the-box thinking on how we can just try to adapt testing strategies. We talked about continuous testing, how to do continuous testing, and of course we talked a little bit about best practices and benefits and challenges that we have faced actually. So with this, I'm done with my presentation. I'm open for any questions, folks.
Thank you, Giridhar. Thank you. It's on time. So guys, with this, actually, we have finished up with the session. If you have any questions, you can put in the chat.
So Dheeraj, just to give you a quick answer, what you need to do is like, what do you suggest in case of unstable sanity and regression result due to intermittent issues? Will you pass the build? No, I will not pass it actually. See, what you need to do is make sure, sit with your developer, talk to them and see why that particular intermittent issue is coming, and then try to fix it immediately. Else, it's going to be a very big problem. And if it is in dev environment, please don't worry about it. But if it is in a staging environment or any other UAT environment, please make sure that the issue is fixed and then you pass it actually. Be it whether it is manual or in an automated fashion, please do that. Yeah. How do we manage experiment feature and automation? I'm not sure about what is experiment feature, Nihal. But again, what I think is like probably, you can just get in touch with me in LinkedIn. I can just suggest you something. So sorry, I couldn't, relate it with
hello, Giridhar.
the stuff that you're talking. So
Giridhar?
I'll go to the next one. What are the free tools available for Android and iOS and automation
Can I ask that question here or
Android Studio?
Nihal, I believe
That's a fair question, but
hear us.
I think there is Catalan. I'm not sure about it, but maybe it might be using APM in this one. So please look into, just try to Google, because I'm not sure, because we are using APM. APM is the best tool for our requirements. So we are just trying to use APM for both iOS and Android actually. Thanks, TK. Can you please suggest some AI testing tools? Yes, of course. We have Apply tools. we have, and we have lots of, report portal, which is an AI based tool that gives good, report analysis and so on and so forth. And you have something called Helium. I don't know whether it is AI, but there is something called as Helium as well. So you can just give it a shot. So yeah, there are tons of tools, guys. So in our testing industry, there are more solutions than problems. So you just Google it, you'll get a solution for you. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dheeraj. Thanks, Ganesh. Thank you so much. Thanks, Santosh.
Thank you.
So
Cool.
guys,
All right.
this is a break of 15 minutes. So we'll join back.
Yeah. Thanks, Ganesh.
At
thank you, guys. Have a good day.
5.
I'm just going to disconnect. Bye-bye.
Yeah, before leaving, thank you so much, Girdhar sir, for the amazing, insightful session. And